Hello students, so this video is basically for class 8, chapter 11, as it is mentioned over here. We will be starting friction, right? So friction is again, before starting this chapter, I will be letting you know that it has to be done in your physics notebook. Now, this chapter is somewhat in relation to the chapter that we have studied, that is your force, right? So, if you remember, when you were studying the chapter, that is your force, right? So in this chapter we had seen the classification of forces, right? And the classification was something like we saw the forces can be classified as the contact forces or the non-contact forces, right? So in the contact forces, if you remember, we had muscular force, we had mechanical force, and we had frictional force, right? And in the non-contact we had electrostatic, then we had magnetic force and the gravitational force. So our main focus that is on friction, right? That will be coming under the contact force, right? Now, in this video, I'll be discussing about the basic, about the ideology of the intro of the friction. So, what actually the friction is, right? So, as we had seen, right? Friction is nothing but it is a force which always opposes motion, right? So, for example, there are certain example cases that we have discussed in the previous chapters also, right? Like for example, when you are paddling your cycle and after a while when you stop paddling and without applying the brakes, and then you will see that your cycle will stop automatically, right? So it's not like you are applying the brake, but after a while, like after covering some sort of distance, your cycle will stop. And another case is like for example, when you hit a ball, when you applied a force and after some time the ball will roll. It will keep on rolling for certain interval of time, and after that you will see it will stop. So right, what exactly is the reason that is making the cycle to stop or this rolling ball to stop, right? That we have to understand. The reason for those two is your nothing but your friction, right? So friction, again I will say, type of force is nothing but a force which opposes your motion. So right, so that we have to understand that friction is again a type of force specifically which always opposes the state of motion, right? And it always works against, one more point that we have to understand, against the applied force, right? And why I am saying that it is working against the applied force, that you have to understand, right? So how come it is working against the applied force? So for example, if you consider the case when you were paddling the cycle, so when you were paddling the cycle, it was your muscular force, right, the muscles of your body that were making the cycle to move forward, right? And when once you stop paddling, you saw that friction comes into picture. So friction comes into picture where exactly? So for friction we need to have surfaces which are coming in contact, as we have said. The force have two types, contact and non-contact. And contact we have friction force, right? So how exactly is it actually working, that we have to understand. So as I said, it is something which always opposes a motion and always works against the applied force. So that is the basic idea that we can see about this friction, right? Now there are certain things that a friction force can do, right? So friction, so basic idea over here, when you are asking what is the definition for friction, it is nothing but a force which is specifically opposing force which always works against the applied force, and somewhat it provides a resistance, एक तरह की रुकावट है जो किसी भी ऑब्जेक्ट के मोशन में जाने से पहले उसको रोकता है. अब इसके कारण होता क्या है, right? What are the effect of it? So the effects, if I am saying, right? So basically the effects that we have to understand. First one is very simple, that you can say it can stop a moving object. Right? So this thing that again, so this was basically the intro part. What actually we saw, it will stop a moving object. Then we can say specific characteristics that I am telling, right? Again, I will not say these are the effects or what basically I will say these are the characteristics also, right, of friction that we are seeing, right? So it always opposes the state of motion. Then it works in opposite direction. And in opposite direction, if I am saying, what do you mean by that? For example, we'll see further. Then apart from that, one more thing that it can do is like it always is accompanied with the production of heat and sound. So now these three characteristics or the effects that will be seen. So moving on, now if I have to say, first one is like stopping a moving object. So for example, this would be clear when I said like if you stop paddling the cycle, it will stop automatically after a while. So what actually happens is like the friction that came in between the tire and the surface on which the cycle was being moved, that makes it sort of provide resistance for making it to stop actually. Then works in opposite direction. So if I am saying in opposite direction, so now you have to understand a certain case. For example, if this is a surface, if you can see, this is a particular surface, plane surface that I have taken, and consider this as a block which is kept on the surface, right? Now it is lying stationary, nothing is acting on it. Will not say, as of now you can say only the gravitational force is acting on it. Now neglecting that, if I am applying a force from this direction, right, a force is being applied. Right, so understand this force that I am applying, it is an applied force. It is a force which is applied over here. Now what will happen? As we have seen in the chapter 4 that we discussed, that an object will start moving in the direction in which the force is being applied. So you can see automatically this box will or this block will start moving from left to right? But the moment you stop applying, the moment this applied force stops, right? Then friction will act in this direction, right? So this is the friction over here. So friction exactly is coming between these two surfaces which are coming in contact. The surface, the lower surface of this block and this upper surface of on the surface on which basically the block is being kept, right? So friction comes into play in this particular area, right? So again we can say it will stop a moving object and it will always work in the opposite direction to the applied force. Right? For example, if you consider a case, if this is a cycle over here, I'm making a rough diagram, if you can record. Right? This is a cycle and, okay, I'll put a chain over here. So if you are paddling, right? And once you stop paddling, the cycle will stop, right? After a while. Right? So what happens is like, the friction comes into picture. Right? Now again the rolling ball example is there, right? For example, if a ball is kept, right? Once you apply the force, so the friction force will come into picture and it will be coming into picture where exactly the two surfaces are coming in contact with each other, right? And the last one is the production of heat and sound, right? So this again we can record. For example, during the winter season, we all have this peculiar habit of rubbing our hands, like you would have seen. So once you are rubbing your hands, so what happens? The basic reason for doing this during the winter season is थोड़ी गर्मी लगती है, थोड़ा अच्छा लगता है, राइट? तो हो क्या रहा है कि जब आप फ्रिक्शन के कारण जब अपने हाथ आप रब कर रहे हैं तो दो सरफेस हैं, राइट? Left hand, one is the palm of your right hand and the other one is the palm of your left hand. So once you start rubbing, the friction comes into picture and you can see, right, these two surfaces having a relative motion between them, right? So cause of friction, sort of heat is generated, and once we are doing, we are saying that heat is being generated, we can hear this specific sound, right? So we can say cause of the characteristics, or you can say there's some sort of effects of forces are, it will stop a moving object, then it will work in the opposite direction, and there will be a production of heat and sound. So overall, if I have to conclude this video, so what is friction that we have to understand? Friction is nothing but a sort of force, contact force, which comes into picture when there is a relative motion between two objects, and it always opposes the motion of an object, and it works in the direction of in the direction of applied force, and cause of this you can say heat and sounds are being produced.